Yeah, something you might not know about me is that I'm not always the pinnacle of total anger and destruction. I just get on here when I'm sad and angry and can't talk to someone else, usually. But simply put, I actually do care a lot. For example, I have this buddy. Do I want to say his name? I guess I could. Nah, I'll keep him anonymous for now. Let's just say he kind of is like that guy from Taxi Driver. He's bipolar and autistic and has definitely a temperament, but guess what? I have known him to be such a bad friend at several points, but I still cared about him because sometimes you can still be friends with someone without the condition being sometimes I'm able to be friends with someone even if I don't care about them that much, or if they don't care about me that much. That's like a sad reality of life. But I guess more so, sometimes I would be able to be friends with somebody without inherently caring about what they do back for me. Like, for example, my buddy Seamus, he's the taxi driver one. He can be a total fucking cunt sometimes. I remember, like, how do I put this? We have ended our friendship many times over the course of last year. Many, many times. But you know what still happened? If he had a show and he needed someone to be there, I would still show up. Not just because I needed something to do or wanted something to do, and maybe it's like, I'm spiteful enough where it's like, if it crashes and burns, I do kind of want to watch it, because just for a little bit of hedonistic pleasure. But at the same time, it's like, also, if it crashes and burns, I know that would be a huge development for his personality, and that would affect things going forward. I don't want to miss out on what could be a big, good or bad milestone, and I still would want to support him either way. So whether a show was going to result in like an empty audience and him breaking down in tears or having a breakdown or whatever, I would still be there. Trust me. In fact, just a few weeks ago, around Martin Luther King weekend, I remember this specifically. A few weeks ago, I remember, let's just say I was confiding in him as a friend about a situation that was complex, and he being worried because he knows I'm a bit of a yapper, but even then the situation was serious enough why I wouldn't have. He ran to this guy and he was like, "Hi, just so you know, Tamia is spreading this rumor about you." And I got so mad at Seamus because that led to the OG guy in the story fucking coming at me, getting all angry, and then I had to explain things, curse that nigga out. A whole bunch of shit happened. So I went to Seamus. I said, "You are a fucking bitch. You are a fucking stupid coward. Fuck you and that Pop Tart built bitch you let cheat on you. Fuck you and the fact that you have this victim mindset. And I hate that I was ever your friend." And I went off. It was like a solid like it was such a long message that it actually at some point cut off. There was more, but I like to think that the first like two-thirds, two-fourths of my message were enough to drive home the point of, bitch, I didn't snitch. Bitch, you were the one that snitched. I got yelled at by a fellow friend because of you. You just fucked up my whole day. And you also fucked up my year several points, and you suck, and fuck that bitch you're with, and you're stupid, and you'll fuck up your own life, and you have lost me as a friend. I went hard. I went ham, and I was like, I am never talking to this man again. Because he's done a million things. But you know what happened? He was putting on a show, and I had a feeling that people would not show up. So, despite how it had went down, I called him up, and he still cares about me. So he picked up within the first ring. He was like, "Hello," and I said, "Hi. How much are tickets at the door for your show tonight?" He said, "Oh, it's free." And I said, "Okay, thank you." And I hung up, and I invited some friends so that we could sit front row and support the bar and get drinks and be supportive. That way, they could keep the event going without any further bullshit. And thank God that happened, and I'm grateful that it happened. It all worked out for its absolute best. And then we all had a blast. He still gave me a stare across the room that I had like flashes of intense, passionate anger, maybe a little bit of lust, because that's, what can I say? And then mainly he was just like curious. He just was kind of like, imagine how someone would stare at you if it's like, this bitch just cursed me out, but now she's here supporting my comedy event with a friend and she's ignoring me, but she's acting like everything's fine. And it baffles people. I'm someone who is able to leave my bullshit at the door. Funny enough, on my other memory card, it's a video I recorded and I didn't post because I was going through it a lot within the past few months, so some content didn't get posted. But it was a video about how I think you should be able to separate beefs from certain people. Like, not everything needs to be 110, not everything needs to be so serious. Some things can just be forgiven. Like, I've had bad dates where I didn't curse out the dude. I remember when I was younger, I had a dude who I told in advance, like, hey, like, he was like, how do you feel about PDA? I said, oh, not too big on it. Like, unless it was like we really, really got along, then maybe kissing or something, or like holding hands, but that's about it. And then this guy, I remember within the first 2 minutes of the date, he groped my ass hard. Like, and I'm not talking like remotely gentle. I'm talking like it was as if he was trying to physically kill my ass as we were just about to step foot into this really nice, classy Mexican restaurant. I immediately turned around and said, I'm going home now. This date is over. He was like, What? And I said, Yeah, this date is over. He was like, No, no, no. I thought you said you liked PDA. I said, Yes, only kissing and holding hands. If I really, really knew someone, you grabbed my ass hard. That hurt. This is over. He was like, Is there anything I could do to make it up to you? I said, No. He said, I'm going home. He said, I can drive you home. I said, No. You've shown me that you can't even be safe in a public space. I'm not getting into a car with you. Goodbye. And then we separated ways. Did I curse his ass out? Fuck no, I didn't. Like, he lived his life. He eventually got a girlfriend that he was with for years. Like, he followed me on Instagram. I still kind of followed him. He just, I guess what? Sometimes I don't crash out. I like that's always been me as a person. Funny enough, despite how you might think, because you only get to see this part of me on my YouTube channel, I'm actually very good at holding in my anger. To the point where even my mother, like when I was growing up, several times she came to me and said to me, "How do you do that thing? How do you just manage to stay calm and like every situation, even when it doesn't make sense, even when it's just like the worst, you're just still calm. How do you do that?" Like I've always respected you for that. As if she also wanted to learn how to like break it out of me, but I just gave a simple answer of like, oh, sometimes you just take a few deep breaths, and you have 7 seconds to breathe before you get to respond to a situation, sometimes even 8 seconds. The trick is you breathe in through your nose, you hold it, you think to yourself within 7 seconds a whole bunch of extreme swear words. This bitch got me fucked up, but it's okay, and this is why it's okay, and this is what the end result I want. So this is what I should say to focus on getting that end result and unprioritize my emotions. That's why I'm able to actually flip. Like that's why I'm so good at working in customer service. People could be screaming in my face or doing whatever dumb shit they want, and you will not see me break because why would I? And I'm just saying, like I don't know. To me, it's like you can usually resolve most situations with logic or kindness or just by not like think about it. Some people react to a kid dropping a bowl on accident with violence. I think, oh, it's just a bowl. Even if it was a really nice bowl, I can that just means it's an opportunity to buy another nice bowl, and I can teach my kid, hey, be careful because there's glass shards and I don't want you hurt, can you help pick it up? Like whenever I see kids being rambunctious in public, there's people out there that are like, shut those fucking bitch ass kids up, blah blah blah. But then like my grandmother was that way. She had vile opinions about kids that clearly trickled onto my mother in one way or another, sadly and disturbingly. Me, on the other hand, I don't always have the best opinion of children, but I still think to myself, like, hey, that's just a young person. Sometimes they get excited and they yell, and I'd rather hear the sounds of children laughing and building childhoods than kids totally quiet, not having personalities, being afraid to do anything. I'd rather have kids bouncing off the walls and like fucking hitting each other with couch cushions or making messes, because it's like that's still like messes can always be cleaned up. Couch cushions can always be put back together, all that. I'm just saying, not everything needs to be taken so seriously. And then, especially for dating, I've been told by a lot of men that I make them feel very loved and respected. These men also, like, and that I made them feel like men. That's because I was able to just treat them well. And they usually had mothers who were like antagonistic or emotionally abusive and yelled a lot and had hot temperaments with no logic. So then that's why some of these men, which is maybe a reason I should be a little nicer to Mitchell. Maybe I'll send him a message, but simply put, I still can be like, oh, this is someone who is complex. This is someone who still deserves good treatment. This is still like, you know what I mean? And I just, what can I say? I liked, yeah, I liked them enough where it's like things didn't have to be so serious. Like, I don't even remember some of the shit me and Liam had fights about when we dated. Why? Because he, like, trust me, even if things got really, really heated, I can only name like 2 times I actually, like, ever yelled at him throughout our entire relationship. And that would, even then, I would apologize profusely, usually, unless it was some really absurdly dumb bullshit, because it's like he was a beautiful man who aimed to treat me well, and I knew he was emotionally sensitive. He doesn't react well to stuff like that. But, let's say we were having a bickering or an argument. It could be about something silly, and guess what? It's about something silly, so it's not serious. If it was about something serious, then hey, we can take our time and discuss it. But he would get worked up or scared that he pissed me off or angry or aggressive. Or not aggressive, just defensive, but or like he'd be kind of, he has a sensitive disposition emotionally. He's a sweet fella. Used to be, at least. He's matured, but I don't know if I like how he's maturing. But either way, I would just hug him and be like, hey, baby, listen here. Hey, let's just breathe for a moment. It's okay. I would just, this happens. People notice it when it happens. When I get angry or anything, this is what I do. I just usually say, it's okay. I'm perfectly happy, and you mean a lot to me, and you mean the world to me. Nothing can change that. You do so much for me that's good. You genuinely make me smile. You have always made me feel wonderful. There's nothing on this planet that can change that. And then I would look at him and then I'd say, because you mean a lot to me. I'm not going to let something like this get in the way of us. And I would explain, like, I get your perspective. I get it. Like, for example, it'd be like, I understand why you would feel that way about that specific thing, but I hope you do know that I do really love and appreciate and cherish you. There's nothing that can break that bond. I really want to make sure that you feel as loved as you make me as well. And I just want to make sure that we still have like things in common and like and I would talk to him that way and he would calm down and like his ego would drop, he'd get less defensive, he would emotionally stabilize and things would be good. Even for like certain evil people I dated, they like sometimes they hated me for that reason because I would talk with like logic, common sense, and emotional appeal, and they don't like any of those things because it means they won't have to get their way without caring about what others think or what makes sense. So me and narcissists have like a complex relationship where we get along until it's something they really really want to keep doing. But even then, Morgan did open up to me about some shit that he allegedly has never told anyone else about because I guess yeah, I remember he told me some fucked up shit about himself, and I was like, okay, and what goes from here? He was like, you still want to talk to me? I said, we made it this far. I'm open minded. And I already kind of knew you were an asshole before, so it's like, okay, what's another layer of assholeness to you? And plus, I'm curious. And I remember that we met up and we talked, and he confided in me. He was like, yeah, I have a history of cheating with every single girl I've ever been with. I was like, every single girl? He was like, yes, I'm not proud of it. But we talked about it candidly, and he was like, do you think I should tell people? I said, honestly, you'd be shocked how many people out there, or even like, there are people out there who are fine with dating people who cheat, or like, are fine with affairs, or like, don't even care. Because I mean, I'll put it this way, I'd say that's not something you say on the first or second date, but I'd say like if you were really feeling someone by like the third date and it was going really really well, then that's when you can probably bring up like, I want this out, like I have a past that I'm not proud of, and I like, if you go to therapy and consistently work on it, you can build yourself up. And that meant the world to him. Because, mind you, Morgan heard me say for years how I think people who cheat should be fucking killed and put to death, and they're selfish bastards. So he was really shocked that it's like, oh, Tamia's out here saying that, like, I can be redeemed as a person, and that I actually can find love and not have to constantly feel shame or inferiority and cheat and, like, hide myself and, like, be a pathological liar. And then he got really honest with me at times. And even when he would sometimes slip back, I would usually forgive him. I'd still be stern, like, don't do that again. You know I don't like that, but thank you for being honest. And he knew that the punishment would be me leaving. So we did have a period of closeness between us that went pretty well because, I don't know, a certain layer of respect was had. And, this has happened with many, many people. It's also why I get so frustrated when people get afraid of me. Because it's like, even before I had the homicidal thoughts and the temperament and the rage issues and more, I still very much made it clear to people, like, yeah, I always tell every single person, my biggest gripe is if someone doesn't communicate how they feel to me, because I wouldn't want them suffering alone. Never. Especially if it could be an avoidable situation. Like, maybe I should reach out to Mitchell. He has his own fucked up family. And I'm like, think about it. You probably wouldn't be the most emotionally adjusted person if you had two fucked up parents that didn't love each other and were kind of abusive and probably just married just to say they were married and had kids just for the sake of being able to brag that they had kids, but they didn't care about the kids. And if you were the kid and you just grew up feeling underprioritized and not cared about, you'd probably suppress those emotions. And it's like, yes, he is 30, but and it's like he does like he really should get some fucking therapy. Yeah, I'm probably gonna message him and be like, I care about you despite your flaws. Get some fucking therapy because you had a rough childhood and your romances, it seems like you have a very complex, like I get why he has a complex feeling about love because it's like, yeah, you had neglectful family members and then on who were not the greatest to you. And then on top of that, then it's like you have an obsession with like women very quickly, but then you get scared because you're either like, oh, it's all a facade or it's not gonna perfectly. I don't know. He doesn't know how. Like, I don't know. I think the thing that bothers me is his giving upness. That one I can't decipher the root to, because when he says, I don't know, like he could have. He said that he does this with almost every woman he's been with. He will date a woman, and then time goes on, and then he'll explain like, yeah, sorry, 1 second. And then he will explain that he usually, even if he feels really high attraction or attachment to a woman, he usually leaves because he's not sure if they'll 100% fit into his future or not. But really, I think that's just an excuse. I think he has what I've noticed in other people. My ex's brother, Gabe, shitty ass man. But, human. Trust me, Gabe did a lot of fuck shit, and I aimed to forgive him and have a good bond. Trust me when I say I can be a very forgiving and sweet person, even when I don't like someone and even when they don't deserve it. Which is exactly why I've been so anti forgiveness, because, let's just say not other people forgive, and I'm tired of being the one to forgive people who will still repeat the shit again and won't learn their lesson. What can I say? But as I was saying, so this nigga, his parents, like, he saw his mom divorce, remarry, divorce, remarry, divorce, remarry, and that fucked up with his head. And it fucked up his views of love. So now he's in his 30s and he's lost relationships over this because he can't picture committing to someone. Because his biggest fear is dating someone and then being with the wrong person. And I get that. Trust me, I fucking get that all the time. Trust me, bitch. Why do you think I'm like fucking non monogamous? Because specifically, I know what happens when I'm monogamous. I'll date someone, I'll love them or like them or whatever. And then things get fucked up, and then I get afraid to leave because I've kind of like built a life around them. And it's hard, it's difficult. It's truly fucking difficult. I get it. Because it's like, Gabe never unpacked those emotions around, like, oh, how do you navigate love? How can you be sure that you can, like, take a chance on someone and it won't, like, shoot you in the foot, that you won't have a nasty divorce like your parents did, that you won't have an abusive relationships, that you, because it's like, he witnessed his mom get arrested for stupid shit, like breaking into her ex-husband's apartment trying to like get their baby out and then like having to physically fight their dad and all that. Like he witnessed some shit, and his daddy issues are still present to this day because of like he probably knows of all people how fucked up parents can really traumatize you. Because last I remember, I don't even like Gabe. Like, mind you, this was a moment where it's like, is it a tiny bit hedonistic to hear it because I don't like him? A little bit. But at the same time, is it still like an overwhelming sadness and devastation that makes me still feel really bad for Gabe and his other brother? And like, let's just say Gabe's dad is very, very wealthy and doesn't spend any time with, like, hardly ever spent time with them growing up. Like, at some point, he just vanished. Like, the second the divorce happened, he vanished. Which probably explains a lot of their pathetic behaviors as adults. Honestly, they don't act like they had a healthy male role model. They act like entitled little 13-year-old shits, even though they're in their 30s. They never really emotionally matured past a certain point, which is sad because I don't know. Like, I can say this. I'm the type of person where even if I don't like someone, I can clap for them when they get on a stage. I can support their comedy. I can laugh with them. I can tell jokes with them. I can still be nice. Trust me. I've had the sloppiest beefs with bitches, and you would still catch me being like, hey, I took a picture of those cupcakes you baked so you can add them to your portfolio because I know you want to apply to baking schools. I would still put in the effort to be like, oh, yeah, I know we had a bad falling out, but yeah, I can watch your jacket. Because I know, like, trust me, I was shown multiple times in my life. I had high school bullies and like elementary school and like middle school bullies where they would be assholes, but guess what? If I fell into some rocks and some dirt and some mud and I was looking pathetic, they would still help me out. Because whether or not, because regardless of anything, they still had a soul. Bless those kids. Amen. I can't hate kids. Like, they were sweet. I'm just saying. Anyway, but as I was saying, I'm sorry, Pulp Fiction level non-linear storytelling here, but as I was saying about Gabe's dad and whatnot, at some point, like one of the last moments I remember with Gabe and hearing about him and seeing him is that Gabe and his other blood brother, because he's not blood related to Liam or whatever, they went to they basically went to like this airport or whatever because they were told that they were going to be spending like a weekend with their dad. And instead, the dad's assistant came and said, "Actually, sorry, you can hang out with me instead, but your dad's not going to be here for the whole trip, actually. He's not going to be around." And then while his brother like was basically like, okay, fuck this shit, fuck him, and fuck you. Why would we just want to hang out with you, some concierge assistant lady our age? Wouldn't, because it's like, nah, because fuck him, he's just an asshole. But Gabe was desperate because he's the one who actually was old enough to remember when his dad was a good person who actually seemed like he loved him. So he was begging like, please, 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 can you just call him, can you tell him to meet with us? We can't fucking handle that. And that was one of those situations I heard about, and I thought, even though I don't like Gabe, that's not something I can really. I'm not laughing at it. Like, I'm not gonna act like I'm totally innocent minded with that. Because it's like Gabe is the most arrogant asshole ever. Trust me, he is. But I still felt really bad for him. Because that shit can follow you for the rest of your fucking life. And I don't think he's ever gotten it tamed. I hope Mitchell breaks that pattern. It makes me sad to say. I do. You know, I think he's a flawed individual in a lot of ways. But at the end of the day, I hope he gets therapy. I hope he gets his diagnosis for his very obvious ADHD and potential autism. I hope he gets therapy so that he can trust that because he hasn't dated that many people, and he just, like, I'm just saying, I would want him to have a positive experience at some point, you know? I wouldn't want that. I wouldn't want bad to happen to him. I would want him to be able to be like, I can trust love. He would be able to date a woman, and then even if, like, it's like, okay, the woman doesn't tick off 100% of the boxes, but if she still ticks off enough, you can still see how things go with her. It's not a waste of time, because no offense, it's like he's almost 30, he's had plenty of time to, like, experience dating and love and romance, not just, like, things where he gets scared of his own emotions and flees into the distance. And it seems like he also has his own past of obsession that he hasn't mentioned and his own trauma. I want him to get help. As much as I dislike that man, I do like him enough. And I'm glad I met him. I wouldn't want him to just be some asshole who just decides I'm never gonna. I'm not like, I'm just saying. I think I'm so disgusted with him is because it's like I would hate for him to continue on his life on the path that he's on, making the same mistakes. That would break my fucking heart. It would. So bad. Because I see so much potential for him, and I'm just saying, I don't know. Maybe I'm just tripping. Maybe he'll find the perfect lady. Super easy, and I don't even need to leave him a voicemail, but still, a part of me is like, regardless, I want him to get therapy so he doesn't fuck up his kids. I want him to get diagnosed so he can figure out certain coping mechanisms. I want him to at least have a chance of a positive and nice life. Because it's like, I don't think a grown man should be crying over estrangement at his age and having panic attacks like he does, and I'm just saying. Anyway, I can be a very forgiving and thoughtful and intentional person. I don't appreciate when people act like I'm just a rageaholic who has never been those things, because if anything, I've had, like, I could see someone I cursed out weeks or months ago get on a stage, and then I will still clap for them for their jokes even if no one else is. I can see someone who I've talked shit against and still be like, I'm going to be civil. I can meet, like, it's possible to do that. I hate when people say that I'm not someone who can do that or has ever done that. I have a history of doing it, and I have a history of being treated so fucking terribly when I have forgiven people. But on the bright side, not all instances of forgiveness or caring have like resulted in me being punished for it. Because sometimes that's a reflection on the person, and it was still good of me to care enough about them and to try. Like things with Gabe and Liam and his whole family. Like, trust me, shit hit the fan with them. But guess what? I still cared. And at least I can say I tried, even when they couldn't. And anything they have to say negative about me is truly just in their head. It's alright. Because I can just save my love for the next people. Alright. I think that's enough for today. Take care.